All right, ladies and gentlemen, we did get the new official college football AP Top 25, and I am going to warn everyone, this is probably the worst version of it this year. There are some major issues, so be prepared. Let's react to this live like we do every week. And once again, we do have the major separation with the first three teams. Alabama does overtake Georgia barely. Georgia still receiving 28 first-place votes after being down by 10 to Missouri late in the third quarter. You got to give up the Georgia dream, guys. It's not going to happen this year. I don't understand it. Alabama is the number one team, according to the AP poll, based on total points by 2 points. You can take 523 versus 521, and then Ohio State does get 10 first-place votes. I would probably go Ohio State number one, Alabama number two, and then I would put Georgia number three. But these people voting for Georgia at number one after almost losing to Missouri as 30-point favorites, it is undescribable. There's no research being done by these individuals. It's almost a total sham. I mean, what's the point of even reacting to this? You're ranking Georgia number one. We have 5 games to judge them on. They played horribly against Kent State, and they play horribly against Missouri, and it all goes back to that week 1 sham of a game versus Oregon. And, of course, we know the situation with Dan Lanning and Kirby Smart. It's just disgusting. And so Alabama is the number one team. I still have major questions with Alabama's receivers. They do have a really good running back. I knew Jamar Gibbs was going to be a beast, and he is. Bryce Young, is he healthy? I still love Bama's defense, but I still do have questions with the receivers. That was a game against Arkansas where it was 28-23, late in the third quarter, and then Bama had 3 rushes of 70 yards. Ohio State at number 3. They're just not getting challenged right now. It's impossible to judge them. They're missing their superstar running back. They're missing their superstar receiver. They're facing teams. They've got 30-point favorite, 40-point favorite. It's hard to judge them. Those are the top 3 teams. 4 through 10, you've got Michigan at number 4, so I think this is another miss. I would very clearly have Clemson football at number 4. They have proven triple what Michigan has proven. What has Michigan proven to be ranked ahead of Clemson? Clemson has a more talented roster. They've beaten 2 top 25 teams. The best team Michigan has beaten is, Maryland, who maybe they're a fringe top 30 team, you could say. But I don't see it. You can see the total points. It's very close. It's 348 versus 345, so those teams are barely separated. Clemson did close the margin, but I would have Clemson at number 4. I would put Michigan at number 5. USC at number 6. A lot of people are saying that USC is fraudulent. You take a look at their schedule. It's really been favorable. They beat Oregon State by 3 points with a +4 turnover difference. That is not a good sign. You win a game by 3 points with a +4 turnover. Last night, they end up beating Arizona State. They didn't cover the spread. I was shocked that spread was -25. That's just too much. Oklahoma State at number 7. We have to respect Oklahoma State. They did get a huge win on the road in Baylor. It might have been a little bit fluky, the kickoff return for a touchdown, but no, they deserved it. They should be number 7. Tennessee at number 8. I think one of Tennessee's huge wins that they had against Pittsburgh is pretty much meaningless. Pittsburgh is not a good team, so people were trying to prop Tennessee up, and that's fine. They can stay number 8, but this idea that Tennessee has these major wins, you beat a horrible Pittsburgh team by 7. Ole Miss at number 9, that was going to happen. Basically, guys, I said it. It's the battle of the overrateds. When one overrated team, Kentucky, faces another overrated team, Ole Miss, and the team that wins, they're going to get even more overrated. And that team is Ole Miss. I think if those teams face each other 100 times, both of them win 50 games. They're just literally evenly matched. Penn State at number 10, they played a rain game against Northwestern, didn't come close to covering the spread, but that was honestly horrible conditions. I mean, it was a downpour the entire game. They win that game 17-7. Utah at number 11, I think Utah's a top 10 team. Kind of a weird game versus Oregon State. Oregon State actually outgained Utah while losing 42-16. So they got crushed, but they outgained Utah because they threw 4 interceptions. I like this Utah team a lot. Oregon at number 12. That's the major issue with Georgia and why people are obsessed with ranking Georgia number 1, because they have that 49-3 win over the number 12 team in the nation. That's why. Kentucky falls to number 13. I would move them down lower than that. I thought Kentucky was way overranked to begin with inside the top 10. They struggled with MAC programs. NC State falls to 14. I mean, I think that's great news for Clemson. You know, you beat NC State and they're still ranked 14th. Wake Forest moves up to 15. I've still got questions about Wake Forest. In my opinion, guys, I said Wake Forest was going to beat FSU, but I think that's a situation where FSU was a little overrated. Don't get me wrong, it was a good win by Wake Forest on the road. They controlled that game. I still have questions about their rushing attack, especially BYU up to number 16. They've got that blowout loss to Oregon. And then TCU, they enter the fray ranked number 17 after their major blowout win against Oklahoma. We expected that. The analytics love TCU right now because of their just annihilation of Oklahoma. UCLA enters the fray at number 18, their major win against Washington. So, you know, we'll see. UCLA is an interesting team. I know they have some very tough games upcoming, and I would expect them to drop a few, but that was a really fun night for UCLA on Friday night. It was kind of a shame the game was at 10:30, but if you're going to have a Friday night game and it's in the Pacific, you know, you got to make it at 7 o'clock, which is 10 o'clock on the East Coast. Kansas enters the fray at number 19. Good for them. They've got College Game Day coming. That'll be a huge game. I think that's a noon game, which is, I just don't like when they do that. When you have College Game Day there and you're a student, you want to be able to tailgate after game day ends at noon. Don't make the game at noon. It should be at like 3:30 or preferably 7:30. But that game is literally right after College Game Day. It's at noon. Kansas State right below Kansas. They got a solid win against Texas Tech. They're up 5 spots. Wow. That's a little surprising. Kansas State's huge win against Oklahoma looks a little bit less impressive, but they still moved up 5 spots. Washington is still ranked. They're at 21. Syracuse at 22. They enter the fray after beating juggernaut Wagner. You know, it was looking like there was a small chance Syracuse might drop an 80 burger, but they really, they were up like 52-0 at half, and then they just completely stopped trying. Because you're facing an FCS team, it is what it is. Mississippi State enters. They're ranked number 23. They got an impressive win against A&M. We understand that A&M can't throw the ball, but still A&M, they have a solid defense, and Mississippi State just trounced them. They scored 42 points. And then Cincinnati at number 24 entering the ranks as well. They're a very solid program. I agree they deserve to be ranked. LSU at number 25, I disagree with that. LSU is 4-1. Congratulations. I'm not seeing it. Washington State is the first team outside looking in. It's just so sad with Washington State. They had the game won against Oregon. You're up by 2 scores like 2 weeks ago, and then they just blew it. Baylor, I think that's a way overreaction that Baylor is unranked. I would put them at like 21. They're a good football team. Florida State, yeah, I agree. Florida State should drop off. Arkansas, I don't know why Arkansas is still receiving votes. Arkansas is a team that was down by 10 to an FCS team in the fourth quarter, and then they get trounced by Alabama after Alabama's starting quarterback, Heisman Trophy winner, goes out, and you still want to rank Arkansas. Okay. James Madison, why can we not rank James Madison? I would rank James Madison just for the fun of it. They're undefeated. They're a fun team. Florida is playing right now. They're playing Eastern Washington, and they're crushing them. That's due to the hurricane. Maryland, I like that. Maryland is a solid team. Coastal Carolina, no. Coastal Carolina has had a horrible schedule. Minnesota, they've got to drop. Obviously, they're out. Tulane gets 9 votes. Good for them. Illinois football, shout out. They get 6 votes. North Carolina still has no defense. A&M, I don't know if the people... Listen, if you're voting for A&M at this point, I don't know what to tell you. Purdue gets 2 votes after their big win against Minnesota. And then... people are voting for Oklahoma. You can't make it up. Oklahoma allowed 250 yards in the first quarter. Folks, come on. They're coming off back-to-back losses. So that is the top 25 overall. The main stories, they completely missed the boat on Georgia. Georgia should be number 3 or lower. That's according to all the analytics, all the rankings, all the data. They are a fraudulent team this year. It is what it is. They won the national title last year. That's great. Good for them. It's a new year. They're completely fraudulent. They should have lost to Missouri. Kent State was playing them even into the fourth quarter, basically. We'll see with Alabama and Ohio State. Ohio State really hasn't been challenged. Alabama, quite honestly, should have lost to Texas. That's another crazy thing, but... either way, those are the updated rankings, and we do have Oklahoma State trending up. We've got Ole Miss trending up. We've got Wake Forest trending up. And then TCU, they are the newest, highest-ranked team coming in at number 17. A lot of new teams entering. TCU enters. UCLA enters. Kansas enters. Syracuse is entering. Mississippi State, Cincinnati, and then LSU back in. Was LSU ranked week 1? I don't remember if LSU was or not, but LSU is back. They're ranked number 25 after their win against Auburn. So that is the updated college football top 25 AP poll going into week number 6. I believe we're going into week number 6, end of week 5. Updated top 25, guys. That's going to do it for this video. Make sure you're following me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description.